Okay, so like, have you ever noticed how everyone's always telling us to be authentic?
Uh-huh.
But like, what does that even mean?
Right?
Like, how do you actually do that?
Yeah, it's funny because it's like this buzzword you hear everywhere, right?
Totally.
Like be authentic, but then it's like, wait a minute, how do I actually
Yeah,
put that into practice?
exactly. So that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at the Living Authentically episode from the Inner Compass podcast
Oh, cool.
to try and unpack this whole authenticity thing
Love it.
and figure out how to like actually make it work in our lives.
Yeah, the episode really emphasizes that it's not about like reaching some perfect state of being yourself.
Right.
It's more about like those everyday choices we make
Okay.
to align our actions with our values,
Even when it's hard.
especially when it's hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not like a destination you arrive at.
Right.
It's more like an ongoing process.
It's a journey.
Yeah. Like something you have to keep working at. Okay, so it's a journey, but like why should we even bother?
Right.
What's in it for us?
Well, the episode makes this really interesting point
Okay.
that authenticity isn't just some like fluffy feel-good concept.
Hmm.
It's actually linked to some pretty awesome benefits.
Ooh, I like awesome benefits.
Tell me more.
Like, for example, think about the last time you made a decision that felt truly aligned with who you are.
Okay.
Like you really felt good about it. You probably felt this like surge of confidence, right?
Oh.
Like you were like, yes.
Totally. Like when I finally like worked up the nerve to say no to that extra project at work,
Oh, yeah.
even though like everyone expected me to say yes,
Mhm.
it was scary. But afterward, I
Yeah.
felt so much lighter,
Yeah,
like more in control.
exactly.
Like I was finally like standing up for myself.
That's a perfect example. It's like we're building trust in ourselves
Yeah.
and our ability to make decisions that are good for us.
So it's not just about like feeling good.
Right.
It's about building real self-confidence. Yeah, from the inside out.
Okay, what about relationships?
Mm-hmm.
How does authenticity play into that?
So the episode actually shares this really powerful story
Okay.
about someone who finally decided to pursue this passion they'd been hiding because of like what other people expected.
Oh, wow.
And it highlights how living authentically can not only free us,
Yeah.
but it can also attract the right people into our lives.
Interesting.
Like people who actually appreciate us.
For who we really are,
Exactly.
not for who we're pretending to be.
Yeah, it's about forming those deeper connections
Right.
that are based on honesty and respect,
Okay. Makes sense.
rather than like trying to fit into some mold.
Yeah, no, totally. You know, I actually had a friend who went through something similar.
Really?
Yeah, they felt totally stuck in this career
Uh-huh.
that everyone expected them to pursue,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like their true calling.
Mm.
And when they finally made the leap
Yeah.
and changed paths,
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing to see how much happier they became. And you know what? Their relationships with the people who really cared about them
Yeah.
actually got stronger.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because they were finally being themselves.
That's so powerful. And the episode also talks about how authenticity can increase our resilience.
Resilience.
Yeah, like our ability to bounce back from tough stuff.
Okay.
Think about it. When you have a strong sense of your values,
Mm-hmm.
it's like having this inner compass
Okay.
that guides you even when things get hard.
I like that analogy.
It gives you the strength to face challenges
Yeah.
because you know what you stand for.
What truly matters to
Yeah.
you. So it's like this inner foundation
Exactly.
that helps us get through tough times.
Yeah, it's about having that unwavering sense of self that helps you bounce back from setbacks and stay true to your path.
Even when things are difficult.
Even when you face pressure or, those curveballs life throws at you,
Okay. So it sounds amazing.
it is pretty great.
But let's be real.
Huh.
It's not always easy.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not a walk in the park.
Right. The episode also talks about roadblocks, things that hold us back
Yeah.
from being our true selves.
Totally.
What are some of the biggest hurdles we need to watch out for?
I think fear of judgment is a huge one.
Fear of judgment.
Yeah, like that worry about what other people are going to think if we don't fit in.
If we don't do what's expected.
Exactly. It can be so paralyzing.
Totally. And that fear is often made worse by like
Oh, yeah.
societal and cultural pressures.
Right. We're constantly bombarded with messages about
Yeah.
how we should behave, what success looks like.
Right. Like there's this whole script.
It's a script, and it can be so hard to break free from it.
Yeah, it really can. You know, I find it especially tough
Uh-huh.
when those expectations come from the people closest to us,
Oh, yeah. That's hard.
like family or close friends.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to disappoint them
Right.
or rock the boat.
It can feel like a lose-lose.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, how do you break free from those expectations
It's tricky, for sure.
and stay true to yourself?
It's a balancing act, but it's important to remember
Yeah.
we can honor those relationships while still setting healthy boundaries
Okay.
and making choices that align with our own values.
But sometimes the roadblock isn't like external pressure.
Right.
It's our own internal struggles.
Like,
Perfectionism.
oh, perfectionism, that's a big one.
It is. It's like this voice in my head constantly saying,
Yeah.
not good enough,
Not good enough.
not good enough.
It's exhausting.
It is. And it keeps us from showing our true selves.
Oh.
We're so afraid of messing up
Of making a mistake.
or looking flawed.
Right. It creates this impossible standard that we can never actually reach.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even fear or pressure holding us back,
Right.
but just like
A lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like we might not even know ourselves well enough.
to know what authenticity even looks like for us.
Yes.
That's a great point. It's like we need to do some inner exploration
Uh-huh.
to uncover our values, our passions, our
Yeah.
true selves.
Before we can express them authentically.
Right. But how do we even start doing that?
That's a great question.
Where do we even begin?
Well, that's where like the actionable stuff comes in.
Okay.
The episode gives you some actual things you can do
Okay, like that.
to cultivate authenticity.
Okay, cool.
And it all starts with defining your core values.
Core values.
Yeah, and it's not just like making a list of words like
Exactly.
honesty, kindness, whatever.
Yeah.
It's about really going deep and
It's
asking
real-
yourself, what actually motivates me?
Yeah.
Like, what principles guide my decisions even when nobody's watching?
Okay, so it's about figuring out what really truly matters to me.
Yes.
Not just what I think should matter.
Or what other people tell you.
Right, or what I think other people want me to think.
Exactly.
Okay, but how do you actually do that?
Yeah.
Like, it feels so big.
It's big, but the episode gives you this really simple exercise.
Okay.
Grab a pen and paper
Okay.
and just start writing down words and phrases that resonate with you.
Okay.
Think about times you felt truly alive,
Oh.
fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
or at peace.
Okay.
What values were like at play in those moments?
That's such a cool idea.
It was like reverse engineering happiness.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
figure out your values.
I love that.
Oh, gotta
So
go.
once we've like figured out those core values,
Uh-huh.
what's next?
So then the episode emphasizes self-honesty.
Self-honesty.
Which is like constantly checking in with yourself
Okay.
and
This
asking,
what?
am I doing this because it feels right for me?
Okay.
Or because I feel pressured or obligated?
Oh man, that is a tough question.
It is.
I am so guilty of saying yes to things
Yeah.
when I really want to say no.
Out of obligation.
Yeah, exactly.
Fear of letting people down.
It's hard to be honest with yourself sometimes.
Especially when it goes against what other people expect.
Right.
But that honesty is like the key.
To making choices that are right for us.
Exactly. And that leads us to embracing vulnerability. Ooh, vulnerability.
I know it can be a bit scary,
It is a little scary.
but the episode makes a really good argument for why vulnerability is so powerful.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's really an act of authenticity.
Okay, so
So vulnerability, I have to admit, makes me a little uncomfortable too.
me too.
It feels like you're really exposed
Yeah, what if people judge me?
or think you're weak.
Yeah, exactly.
Those fears are totally understandable.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing
Okay.
or trying to get people to feel sorry for you.
Right.
It's about having the courage to show up as your true self.
Okay.
Imperfections and all.
Like warts and all.
Exactly. It's about letting go of that need to seem perfect
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to be seen even in your moments of weakness.
Okay, so it's about being real.
It's about being real.
Even when it's not pretty.
Yeah. Embracing the messiness of being human.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And what does that look like in real life?
So the episode gives some good examples.
Okay.
It could be something as simple as admitting you need help,
Done?
owning up to a mistake,
Yeah.
or expressing your true feelings.
Even if they're not what people expect.
Right.
I like those examples.
Yeah.
They're really relatable.
And they show how vulnerability can actually strengthen your relationships because you're letting people see the real you,
Yeah,
and that allows them to do the same.
that makes a lot of sense.
And this ties into the idea of setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries
Yeah, which is so important for protecting your energy.
and staying true to ourselves.
Exactly. Especially when you're dealing with all those societal expectations.
Right, because it's like creating this space
Yeah.
where you can be yourself
without feeling pressure
to conform.
Right. It's like your own little bubble of authenticity.
I love that image.
And setting boundaries doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing.
Okay.
It can be as simple as saying no to things you don't want to do. Okay.
Or speaking up when someone's behavior bothers you.
Yeah, it's about knowing your limits.
And communicating them.
So it's about taking back your power.
Yes.
Making choices that feel right for you.
Even if it goes against the grain.
Yeah, exactly. And the episode reminds us that we don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Like, we don't have to completely overhaul our lives.
It's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Okay, I like that.
Small steps.
Yeah.
Consistent action.
Makes it feel less overwhelming. It's about making choices, even tiny ones,
Yeah.
that reflect who you are
Okay.
and what you value.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. You don't have to be perfectly authentic all the time.
Okay, that takes the pressure off.
It's about the effort,
Okay.
the intention to align your actions with your values.
And the more we practice,
The better we get at it.
the more natural it becomes.
And those little acts of authenticity, they build up.
They do.
They create a life that feels more aligned.
More
you.
More you. Okay, this is great. I'm really getting a lot out of this.
Me too.
But I want to go back to those benefits we talked about earlier.
Sure.
Self-confidence, stronger relationships, and resilience.
Yeah.
Can we dig a little deeper into those?
Let's do it.
Okay, so self-confidence.
Uh-huh.
The episode said that when we live authentically, we naturally feel more confident.
Right.
Is that because we're not trying to fit into a mold anymore?
Exactly. When we stop trying to be someone we're not,
Yeah.
there's less self-doubt,
Okay.
more self-acceptance.
It makes sense.
And we develop this inner confidence that comes from knowing
Knowing what?
we're showing up as our true selves,
Even with our imperfections.
warts and all.
Okay, so it's about accepting ourselves.
Like who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what about relationships?
Yeah. How does authenticity make our relationships stronger?
Well, authenticity allows for genuine connection.
Okay.
When we're true to ourselves, we attract people who appreciate us for who we are.
Not for who we're pretending to be.
Exactly. We build relationships based on honesty,
In respect.
which are the
With
foundations.
strong connections.
Right. It's not just about feeling good about yourself.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space
Where you can be yourself.
and invite others to do the same.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, resilience.
Mm-hmm.
The episode said that authenticity helps us cope with challenges.
Right.
How does that work?
Well, when you really understand your values,
Yeah.
it's like having this inner compass
Okay, I like that analogy.
that guides you through difficult times.
Yeah.
You know who you are, what you stand for,
Yeah.
what matters to you,
And that gives you strength,
and purpose.
even when things are tough.
Even when life throws you a curveball.
So it's like this unshakable core
Exactly.
that helps us get through anything.
It's about developing that inner strength and resilience that
Yeah.
comes from living in alignment with your values
Okay.
and knowing that even when things get tough, you're staying true to yourself.
So it sounds like living authentically is like a superpower.
It kind of is.
It helps us build a life that's not just happier,
Right.
but also stronger.
More resilient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like we can handle whatever life throws at us.
When you're rooted in your values,
Mhm.
it's like you have this inner strength that
Yeah.
helps you navigate any storm.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Me too.
I feel like I finally get what authenticity really means.
Yeah, it's more than just a buzzword.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, I think I have some ideas about how to actually live it.
That's the goal, right?
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what's one piece of advice you would give to our listeners?
One piece of advice.
Yeah, for people who are ready to start living more authentically.
You know, I think I'd go back to what the episode said about small steps.
Okay.
Like, just pick one small area where you can be a little bit more authentic this week.
Okay, so one small thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this massive life change.
Right.
Just something small
Yeah.
that feels aligned with your values.
I like that. It feels a lot less scary that way.
It's about building momentum.
Yeah. One step at a time.
And remember, authenticity is a journey.
Right.
Not a destination.
We're not going to be perfectly authentic all the time.
Not at all.
There will be times when we're more aligned.
And times when we're not.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
Exactly. We're all works in progress.
Always learning and growing.
The key is to keep practicing
Keep reflecting.
and keep moving towards a life.
That feels more like our true selves.
More and more each day.
I love that this has been such a fantastic deep dive.
It really has.
I'm leaving feeling inspired
Me too.
and ready to take action.
Awesome.
So to leave our listeners with one final thought,
Okay.
What's one small action they can take this week to align their life a little bit more with their true self?
It could be anything, really.
Yep.
Like saying no to something you don't want to do,
Okay.
or expressing an opinion you've been holding back.
Or even just taking a few minutes for self-reflection.
Those are all great ideas.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
make it a conscious choice,
To honor your true self,
even in a small way.
you might be surprised at what happens.
You never know what kind of ripple effects it might create.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been a great conversation. And to all our listeners out there,
Yes.
keep exploring, keep growing, and keep living authentically.